technology. Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Ed Brielt, Chief Marketing Officer with Aprimo, and I'm here today with Brett Malotsky. Brett, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, everyone. Brett Malotsky, Industry Vice President for Financial Services here at Aprimo.
Really excited for this session. When Henry Stewart mentioned that they would be tackling an industry week and financial services had a dedicated day in insurance, we were so excited. Brett and I have been in this space for quite a while and have been helping financial services organizations for a long time. And it's such a unique space with unique challenges. And we're really excited to get into some of those unique challenges today for you in this topic that we're calling going beyond personalization in financial services. Also, let's keep the value going. We've got a virtual booth. Would love to, after the session, continue the discussion and give you some product experiences, showing you how Aprimo helps solve some of these challenges, a demo, go snack on some bingeable content that we've got out there, and even book a follow-on discussion with us to keep the financial services discussion and digital asset management conversations going. So brought a whole team here for you to experience. But let's start here. Let's jump right into it. And we're going to talk about experience today, which is massively important to us. And I like to think of experience as like these two worlds colliding here. There's, as a financial services or insurance brand, you've got that inside world, but then there's this outside world that exists too. And the truth is that folks don't see your channels, they really see your brand. So we're really going to talk about that. And there's some macro trends that we're also seeing that are really important for our organizations to understand around increased levels of volume of content. We need to get into more channels now across different technology platforms. There's a lot of M&A that goes on in this industry, and we're pushing into new markets and putting out new product offerings as well. Globalization it's putting a lot of pressure on brands and to really reach these new markets, to find new customer types with these personalized journeys. How about these fintech disruptors too? Brett's going to talk about quite a bit of these across the industry. They're continuing to put pressure on some of these older, larger financial services organizations to really force innovation. And then where we're going to jump off to next, which is in the title of this, around personalization, these relationships with customers and the financial services providers are massively important today. And with products becoming more similar, we need to stand out. We need to pattern disrupt. We need to create value based off of technology, service, and innovation. And I have a question: where's the loyalty gone? It's just not that. It's not just not there anymore, and we're really switching a lot. And then the other thing that's very unique to this industry, we're really happy to talk about, which is regulations. They continue to tighten in the wake of larger financial industry infractions that we see out there in the U.S. and across the globe. It's putting a lot of pressure on financial services and insurance organizations to maintain compliance. And what we are talking about, content that creates amazing experiences. We have to be more accountable than ever before. And yet we're still trying to stand out and compete with some of these non-regulated customer experiences that are setting the new bar. And so with that, I'm going to send it over to you. Actually, no, let me talk a little bit more here around personalization in terms of how we compete, how we keep customers, and how we acquire new ones. So it's really become the new norm. And according to Salesforce, in a great report that they just put out, 69% of consumers expect this connected experience across a brand's channels. So we must now go beyond personalization. That's the new expectation. And there's this idea of these static-based approaches to personalization. Take your componentized content pieces, parameterizing them, just don't work anymore. So really what we need to be doing is DAM and content operations as a foundational layer to move past like the segment personalization talk track and focus on creation, assembly, and delivery of experiences as a complete service. Brett, share some stories on your brilliance in this industry and solving some of these problems for our audience.
Thanks, Ed. So I want to start with a little story. One of the last business trips I took before the pandemic started was overseas. And when I landed in Frankfurt, Germany, and I was able to, get my wits about me and reconnect, turn on my phone, have it connect to the cellular network, by the time I got to my email, I already had an email message from American Express. And that email message was welcoming me to Germany and saying, hey, we see that you're in Germany and maybe you could hear some suggestions for hotels, rental cars, restaurants, et cetera, that you might be interested in while you're here. And I thought that was really cool at the time that, this was a brand that I had a lot of experience with. We use them for business travel, and they were aware of my physical location, the fact that I was probably traveling on business, and providing me with information that might be helpful. And that kind of personalization had an impact. It was comforting in a way that a brand that I was familiar with and trusted was there ready to help me in a situation where I might need a little bit of orientation or a little bit of help. But a year later, looking at that kind of email that comes when you arrive in a certain town or you're in a new place or a different kind of situation, the novelty of that is gone, right? It's like, okay, we expect that a little bit now, right? That the content is delivered that way. And my expectations for personalization are now much higher. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand you're going to use geographical data, you're going to use personal data to provide some kind of message to me, but I want more. What's the next thing that you're going to be able to provide to me in a personalized way that's going to make my experience better? So my expectations are higher now, and especially coming out of the pandemic and as we look ahead, how that content gets delivered and who it's being delivered to and why is going to be even more important. And finally, I think there's one more item here. Yeah, the new channels that are emerging, and Ed hinted at this a little bit. Every day there's a new app, there's a new way to experience content. The explosion of different social media networks, different channels, new technologies that are emerging both within the financial services industry and externally is really driving this explosion of content and the need for digital asset management and the storage of that content. But there's more than just creating content and making it personal. And that's where we're headed next. So if you go to the next slide. But what's at stake here is important, right? It's beyond just personalizing. And what's at stake is the cost of non-compliance. All of this content that you're going to need to generate, all of this content that's going to be stored in your DAM has to be compliant. And the costs of that non-compliance are increasing. These are just a few stories. I'm sure all of you have many more. But overall, the cost of just operational expenses related to staying compliant have increased a tremendous amount. And they're only going to increase further. So having an ability to store and manage your content and deliver it into channels in a compliant fashion while responding to this increased need for hyper-personalization is where a company can differentiate. Next slide. That's why I like to say that content is always personal, right? Everything that you're doing from a content development, content management, and content delivery approach is always personal, because even at the highest level, when you're strategizing, when your company is figuring out what do we want to do in the marketplace this year, or how do we respond to a certain event in the world, you're always thinking about the consumer of that content, the individuals who will be receiving that content and hopefully responding to the message that you're putting into place. So when we look at content and personalization at a higher level, we think about it from a perspective of how does that content both fit into your organizational objectives and also deliver on that hyper-personalized requirement for the individual and get them to respond. Have them emotionally connected to your brand and to the experience so that you can bring them in and give them the services or products that you feel are going to be valuable to them. So when you look at the whole spectrum, planning, operational stuff, work management, your content storage and distribution, your DAM, and then the personalization of that content into the marketplace, think about it from a holistic perspective. It's not just DAM. It's not just storing that content. It's not just audit trail. It's not just your offer management or your email system that is delivering your content. It's an entire ecosystem. And understanding the relationship of that content to its strategic objectives and how the content is stored and managed in your DAM and then delivered out into your personalization engine is all part of that personalization story. It's all part of the same thing. So we take a holistic view of that content. And with that, by combining all of that ecosystem, the strategic planning, the budgeting and forecasting, the content management in your DAM, and the delivery of that content into the channel, and keeping that in a secure, compliant system means that you have quicker time to market, you have more value, you're able to respond to events more quickly because you're still remaining compliant, but able to deliver those hyper-personalized messages into the marketplace. And that's key. It's key to having that full visibility all the way up the chain to manage your response to a world event or to a specific marketing campaign or tactic that you want to put into the marketplace. And this is really, really relevant for financial services organizations as we try to adapt to the ways in which content is being stored and delivered out into the marketplace. Remember the explosion of channels, right? So you have to develop more content more quickly, get it into more channels, and have it be more relevant than everybody else's content, which is getting in there. And by the way, for larger FSIs, that's a difficult shift. It's a difficult pivot to make just because of the weight of trying to steer larger FSIs into new opportunities and new challenges, new channels. So as you look at your own organization and how you can adapt to this type of change in the marketplace, I would encourage you to think about your content as the fuel for the engine that you're going to engage your customers with, right? So how you can get that content more quickly into your DAM, keep it secure, keep it compliant, and then get it out into the marketplace using secure, personalized messages that remain compliant and have a through line back to your corporate compliance team and your audit trails and your ability to respond to regulatory inquiry and audits. It's all the more important. And that's where we see the value of having true digital asset management, especially within financial services. Next slide. So what's at stake here? You know, what do we mean when we say we're going beyond personalization? We've covered some of this already. So first of all, it has to be fast, right? You have to get into market more quickly and be able to respond to events quicker. It has to be relevant, right? Customers are demanding relevant content. It's got to be cost effective. We talked about budgets and plans, but we have to be able to be efficient in getting that content into the marketplace. And it's got to be secure. So having that content in a secure digital asset repository and being able to securely get it into the marketplace is important. And having that through line compliance is obviously of utmost importance, right? Being able to track that asset from its initiation and ideation all the way through to its delivery into the marketplace, and ultimately how it gets consumed and what those metrics look like coming back into your content management platform is how you're going to be able to respond to audits and inquiries, and also understand the value of that content in the marketplace. How effective is it? So all of these factors go into a strategy around personalization. And that's really what the takeaway is for us for today, is that when you think about personalization, it's not just landing that message to a traveler, business traveler in a new location and saying, hey, here's some services you might be interested in. It's being able to anticipate and understand the channel that a particular user is interested in being engaged in, and providing them a message that is relevant for their needs and their desires at that particular time. And I think that's and doing that in a fully compliant way, right? That's the target. So as we look ahead, right, as we look to what's next in financial services and in the demands on your content, you can go to the next slide. We can talk. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of experts that I've seen take the Henry Stewart stage, they talk about DAM is a journey. And that can't be more true, that the only thing that's constant now here is change. So if we're going beyond personalization, there's going to be another more changes coming up. And Brett, so really kind of blow up our DAM world with what's coming down the line to us.
Well, I mean, the headlines are there already, right? There's a future of personalization, and the articles are saying, how do you get ready for it? Well, we're not ready for it, right? The Metaverse is coming, an entire virtual world where property and content will be consumed in a purely digital space, but human interaction will occur there. There's going to be real exchange of brand value, and it's not just content-based advertising. It's personalized experiences in virtualized spaces. It's beyond World of Warcraft. It's beyond gaming on the Xbox. This is life and experiences that are occurring in purely virtual spaces. And the content demands for those types of experiences are going to be exponential. Then you add in the fact that there is real property being exchanged now through these non-fungible tokens and blockchain-based content that is also real property. And the impact on the financial services industry is going to be huge. And this is all happening now. The NBA is doing it. And you see here the article from the Wall Street Journal talking about, are sneakers the next virtualized property? So think about that when you think about how your brand might be realizing virtualized content in the future and the impact that it would have on your content storage needs.
Wow. Yeah, there was a content strategist that I always, the question is, what is content? And she said, anything that the sun can shine on is content. But this blows that away. The content is now virtual, and what is an asset anymore? And not everything is file-based, and not everything is somewhat tangible. The future is really interesting where we're going. That was great. And who's doing this well? Actually, I'll put a plug in for one of our Primos customers is taking the stage next, Cigna. Melissa Teitler, she's a change agent, and this is not easy work. And it is on a journey. So I would definitely encourage you to watch her session up next with Cigna. And definitely, please, if you want to keep the conversation going, go meet us at the virtual booth and book some time with Brett. And really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks so much.